guys, let's try this one again.
Hello.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. I'm with Majestic Mountain Sage, and this is my lovely co-host Katie.
Hi.
We are both on the blog team, as well as technical and a couple of other areas. But today we wanted to show you how to make large batches of lotions. When we both first started out making lotions, it was small 100-gram batches. And today we wanted to show how to increase those batches from little batches that maybe filled 1 or 2 jars, if that, depending on your jar size, to larger batches. And so today we're going to do that larger batch. All right. We've already pre-weighed out our ingredients to make things easier. We're going to do this on a little gas burner here because this batch is going to be big enough. It doesn't fit in the microwave here at Majestic Mountain Sage in our blog kitchen. Mm-hmm. But at the same point, the stove doesn't have enough lighting. Taylor's going to be in the background helping check the camera and also help answer your questions and know that we're seeing you. So we'd like to welcome you aboard and let's get started. We've got our pot. I'm going to put it up here and get this starting to heat up on our burner. We're just making a basic body lotion today. And this beaker, let me find my gloves, but Katie, what are the ingredients in this beaker?
Let's see if I can remember. So we've got everything weighed out in here. Let's see, we've got Emulsifying Wax, Dimethicone, Stearic Acid, and Hydrovance. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Oh, and Shea butter.
And shea butter, that's
yes.
right.
And then this beaker is full of just sunflower oil. And our last beaker has all of our heat-sensitive items, so things that we're going to add a little later, like our extracts, Chamomile Extract, Calendula Extract, Liquid Germall Plus, which is our preservative, and Vitamin E Natural. And then we've got 2 big jugs of water.
Okay, so we're going to start by scooping all of these things into our pot. You ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay, Katie.
Yes.
Slide this over here so you don't have as high reach. And I can get the burner back up. All right, so it looks like we've got a few of you, so welcome aboard. Again, we're just scooping everything into our beaker. We had somebody ask earlier if the video would be saved on Facebook for later viewing. Yes, it will be. So we do just want to say hi and welcome you aboard.
There's all of that. Add the sunflower as well?
Yep, everything goes in except for our temperature sensitives. We'll set those aside just up there.
Very full.
It'd help if I pushed the right button on the burner. There we go.
Has fire.
Here, let's just, I want to go.
All right, in the water.
So this big batch is a big batch. We're going to make approximately 3 gallons of lotion. So now you may be wondering, how do I convert my recipe into lotion or into a bigger batch. That's probably what you're really wanting to know. So we get to do some math. And don't be scared because math honestly isn't that scary. It's not a big monster that we thought it was.
Especially these days with all the calculators, makes it pretty easy for us.
Yes.
So we have a question from Suzanne Finley.
Okay.
She asks, so you add to the water to the oils immediately?
Yes. When we are making lotions here at Majestic Mountain Sage, we have our oils, our emulsifier, we mix it all together. And that's because we found recipes that don't have, or that separate them, there can be too much temperature fluctuation, and they're more likely to split. Now, that doesn't mean that the phases method can't be done. This is one method of a lot of different methods. We're just showing you the one that we use here at Majestic, and the one that we teach people who are beginning.
It's fairly easy. Just throw it all in there and heat it up.
It blends up, because we're going to use the blender, it's going to mix up, we're going to have a great lotion. It's just going to be one different method of making. Does that answer your question? Okay. Well, so back to our math. What you do is, let's say you already have your favorite recipe. You're going to simply add up all the ingredients so that you have your entire list. And you're going to divide, let's say, this is why I love percentages and grams, is because it makes things easy, and once you go metric, it's so much fun. Nothing wrong with imperial though. I totally get it, and I still use it, especially when I'm baking, but that's a different area. Okay, so when we're making, calculating a recipe, let's say that we have, most of the time we look at 5% this, and the percentages can be scary, but they're not, because it's just parts of a dollar if you want to look at it that way. So on our recipe, Taylor took the recipe, she went off to run some numbers for us. We will publish that on the blog tomorrow. That will be our Friday blog post, and the lotion that we make today, and then another batch that we're making. These will be sent out as samples in the shipping department. So if you have an order that's coming through in the next day or so, don't forget to request your bulk order, your bulk lotion sample. Thank you. So I got distracted. Where was I?
You were talking about percentages and
Math and how to change your recipe.
Yes.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna grab a pen because my little thing is I have to write it out so I can see it. Hence, the workspace is almost always paper. So let's say that my recipe is going to, I already have a recipe, but it's only in weight, which this recipe originally was. I only had it in weight, but I didn't want to make 8 ounces of lotion today. I wanted to make 3 gallons. So to increase it, what I did is I took the 1.5 ounces of stearic acid and converted that to percentage. Now you're going, Andy, you're kind of confusing me here. How do I get that? You add up every single ingredient in your recipe. So let's say you have, how many ingredients do we have?
A lot.
I think we have 8 ingredients in this recipe.
11.
11. I'm off. Okay, so we had 11 ingredients. So what I did is I said I had 1.5 ounces of an ingredient, and I had a total ounce of 8. So what I did is took the calculator, and it was, I think it's 1.5 divided by 8. Somebody got a calculator to run that number for me?
Let's see. You said 1.5 divided by 8 is 0.1875.
0.1785. 1875. Okay. All those extra numbers we're going to just kind of listen to, but we're just going to pay attention to the first 4. Move that decimal point over 2 because we're converting this. It's timesing by 100. And now we have 17%. See? So our 8-ounce recipe that had 1.7 or had 1.5 ounces is going to have 17.87% of an ingredient. And Taylor was awesome enough to just pop that recipe up for you guys so that you guys can see what we're exactly making right now. And so you all have to give Taylor a big thumbs up and a hug for that one because she rocked.
She's awesome.
So right now things are just heating and it's looking really good. I wish I had another camera that you could see in the pot. That's my next thing to do is go find this. But right now it's just heating. I have my burner on about medium heat. Katie's just stirring in to help see that the ingredients are there. And that, well, of course the ingredients are there. She's stirring to help things melt.
Yeah.
Things like the Stearic Acid, it has a higher melt point, but it's going to retain its shape. So it's going to look grainy. And that's partly why we need the blender. Are there any other questions?
Right now, I don't have any, but I'm definitely curious to see what people are thinking so far since this is our very first video.
Our first official live video that we're actually making something. I've done a few live videos to help or show people our snow days up here.
It gets crazy.
But we do get crazy snow. But oh my gosh, the temperatures are getting all up on the balmy side. Earlier this week we had temperatures around 20 degrees Fahrenheit or colder, and tomorrow they're expecting it in the mid-50s Fahrenheit. So welcome to spring.
So Suzanne says she's always done a heat and hold with her lotion. Let's talk about that. You know, what are the benefits? Why do we typically here at Majestic Mountain Sage suggest not to? Let's talk about those.
Okay, so heat and hold. We don't do a heat and hold because the oils that you're dealing with, your shea butter, sunflower, some of these are very temperature sensitive, and when they are heated and held at a temperature, you're actually shortening the shelf life of your oils drastically. It is going to depend on your local environment as well. But that heating and holding actually can damage the oils, and you can have a product turn rancid faster. If you're having, a lot of times the heat and hold is done. This is a phase thing, and when you're doing phases, it's intended for large manufacturing production. This is a 3-gallon batch of ours is not a large scale manufacturing yet. This is still considered small test batch. So big manufacturers, contract manufacturers, they won't talk to you until you say, I'm going to commit to 150 gallons. And that's a minimum. They go, okay, 150 gallons will fit in our tanks. But the heat and hold process comes about because when you have that much mass together, it can't cool quickly. Whereas we do cool much quickly or much faster in smaller batches. And because of that, our ingredients wanting to save those and keep the best possible shelf stability, we want to not expose it to too much heat.
So Rosie says, I have an older stove. What is the actual temperature of the heated oils and water?
This particular recipe, our ingredients have varying melt points. The emulsifying wax is going to melt at about 120 to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the stearic acid has a much higher melt point, and I believe that is about 180. Shea butter is going to, we used the regular refined shea butter in this recipe, and I think that has a melt point of about 140. Don't quote me on that right now. My brain is still a little congested. So, you're looking for something that's going, you need to get hot enough to melt your highest melt point ingredient. And for us in this recipe, the stearic acid is that. So our target temperature is going to be 180, but because we have some other things, the stearic will actually start to melt before that, and those will help decrease the melt point a little bit. So our target temperature is going to be somewhere between 160 and 180. Katie, if you want to stir and take the temperature, we can figure out where we are. That was a great question. So thanks for asking that.
Okay. So Suzanne just asked, I thought the phases was required to kill microbes. And because we're starting with water and our oils should be safe. Our biggest concern is starting with clean water.
And today we started with distilled water.
Yeah. And for the most part, within the United States, we have very clean water.
We do have clean water, and having lived abroad, for the most part, I would say that yes, we have clean water. If you're worried about contamination, distilled water is always a way to start. If you're super worried about it, boil your water first. But your biggest contaminant is going to come from your water. So it looks like we have another question.
We do. Deborah says, love that we're branching out into light videos. She says you can still do the heat and hold with water phase and just bring the oil phase to fully liquid. Mm-hmm. And you're right. We definitely can bring things.
And we're just showing one method. There are a lot of methods.
Yeah. The reason why we tend to do what we call the dump and mix method is it's fast, it's simple, it's less intimidating for beginners, and that's what we're focusing on, is we're trying to make this easy and accessible and fun.
Yeah, we are trying to make this fun because, we all got into it for different reasons. Every one of us started making things, whether it was we're looking for ways to solve our own skin irritations, or we had a child with eczema. There's a lot of different things that got us into the world of soap making and lotion making and all these fun cosmetics. And then there's some of us like Katie who just
kind of fell into it.
So Katie, when you took the 107, okay. So right now we still have a bit to go, but it's actually doing really good.
We're starting to see things start to melt a little bit.
Yeah, it is starting to melt and it's looking great. We're going to definitely invest into that second camera so you guys can see down into the pot for future batches. This is why when we do blog photos, we use the clear glass beakers so you can see it.
So Deborah asks, does this method work with all the newer emulsifiers?
That is an area that I'm not sure about because I have not had the chance to pop into the testing lab and try them. I have not looked at any of the specifications, so I'm not sure.
Most emulsifiers handle this method very, very well. The problem is there are thousands of emulsifiers to choose from. And
True.
so to test them all is really kind of hard. So we definitely have our preferred emulsifiers that we have in our catalog. And all of the ones that are in our catalog can definitely be used this way, which I so appreciate because I am kind of a gal who likes to come in, get something done, and then get on with the rest of my life.
That's Taylor for you. She definitely does things that way. But this is something that should work with most of the emulsifiers. We found it to work really well with not just the emulsifying wax that we're using today, but the conditioning emulsifier, even the cetyl alcohol. Those have worked really well for us. Beyond when we start getting into a little bit different emulsifiers, then you start working into a new area of mathematics and compatibility. And that's something you do want to make sure that you're using ingredients that aren't incompatible with each other, because sometimes they can cause things like your emulsifier or either your emulsifier to break and your lotion to become really watery, and it was supposed to be a really thick body cream, or your preservative can fail because your ingredients they're not compatible, and then you have a walking petri dish.
Which I've had happen, and it's not fun. So
We've all
let's
had
not do that.
So Katie, this is a great opportunity. Tell us about your experience with your walking petri dish.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't notice until it had got sent out to you guys, and we had a customer say, "There's a little something growing in my lotion." So we learned the hard way that sometimes things aren't compatible and it doesn't work out, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you failed, you know. And it happens.
So let's talk about, okay, this happens, but what if we have a business and we're wanting to sell lotion? How do we protect ourselves?
So when you're selling lotion, we highly recommend getting a preservative efficacy test, also called a USP 51. Most of the time you can find it from a lab within your general vicinity. I wouldn't recommend per se, forcing yourself to send it across the country. There are a lot of different labs. You can almost always contact your local universities or colleges that have a chemistry department. They may not be able to help you per se, but they may have an idea. So this is where your fingers do the walking, and instead of flipping through the yellow pages now, we go to the internet and type in, just looking for a local laboratory. You're looking for somebody who can do just some basic testing. Your USP 51 is a just to see if your preservative is enough. And do be aware that every time you change your fragrance, it will impact your formula, because some fragrances can negate your preservative. So, all right.
Give this another stir. It's starting to come together quite nicely now.
So things are starting
to melt. Our temperature is at.
Here, let me switch you spots.
All right, so right now we are sitting at 117 degrees, so not quite at what we need to be at, but we are getting there. I wish I could show you guys what this looks like.
Well, hold up your spatula. You can see that it's a little bit grainy.
Yeah, you can definitely still see that the stearic acid has not melted yet. We still have some of the butter that you can see in here.
So things are getting melted. It's kind of a melted butter looking concept.
Yep.
Not completely melted. We're talking regular cow's butter that you use for cooking. But, and I was just thinking, the preservative that we're using today is the liquid Germall Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That one is not going to be. This one, it doesn't. It's not a natural preservative, and it will be compatible with all your fragrances. It's when you get into the more the different preservatives that are considered more natural that they are going to have more potential to be adjusted by your have incompatibilities with your fragrance. A total brain fart.
Okay.
So,
see, another problem I had is not letting my Stearic melt all the way, and that is something that really is not very fun either, but it happens to everyone, so you definitely want to make sure that your lotion gets to a very clear texture. You don't have anything not melted in there.
One of my favorite ways to check that is the when I'm mixing with my beautiful immersion blender here, is when I pull it up and out of my lotion, I will check for any graininess. Now that's different from bubbles.
Sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference.
It can be hard to tell the difference. Oh, jeez. God, I'm nervous.
Me too. This is our first live video, so.
Well, we do thank
Always
everyone
yes.
for popping in and saying hi. We love seeing you guys, and it's something we do want to expand and show you guys because there's so much cool stuff to share. Anyway, we were talking about just a handy dandy immersion blender. I'm going to take it off the motor base just because I don't trust myself with touching the button and holding the bottom.
That could be bad.
We don't need to do live and gruesome.
All right, so Deborah just asked, she goes, do you PET test and or stability test your bases, either the initial batch or each batch?
On our bases, every one of the bases is tested for its preservative efficacy and its stability before it is released to the warehouse to ship out. And we just experienced that earlier this week. Head to toe cream was on, we're just waiting for the results to come back from the lab. And it was hurry up and wait and see if it was, but we had people going, but I need it now. And the head to toe cream base is amazing. It's one of my favorites for in a pinch, but I still have to say, my homemade lotion rocks.
Oh, yeah.
But yes. Short answer is yes. Long answer is definitely yes. Blah.
So Renee Lilly says, no need to be nervous.
Oh, well, thank you, Renee.
Thanks, Renee. So we are getting much closer on our lotions.
Let's stir it again.
Let's stir it again. Oh, here, I get to do the temperature. We're at 121. No, 122. That's the benefit of stirring things. Even if you're just using a rubber scraper like we are here, it's just helping boost the temperature and stir up the heat from the bottom of your pot. We just hit 140 just doing that.
Nice.
So we popped up 20 degrees by circulating that heat from the bottom of our lotion
Whatever.
Lotion to the top. I think our next live video is going to have to be a soap or something. What do you think?
Yeah, we want to know what you guys think, what we should do for our live videos, if you have any suggestions for us.
Even our blogs.
Yeah.
We'd like to know what you'd like to see. Because Sometimes it's like sitting in your own little tank going, well, I've made that before. And you have to remember, particularly in my case, I might have made that, but it might have been 6 years ago.
So, Andy, tell us about how you got started in this, especially with the blog and some of your favorite recipes.
Oh gosh. So I started here in Majestic in 2004 as a warehouse employee, working in the warehouse. And I transitioned into order processing, and then I got to try some things. And in 2008, I got asked if I would like to help write the blog because I like to write things. And that's where I got started. I got started with the blog back in 2009. We did the first post on New Year's Day, or I think. And I've been working on the blog with some help from various people since. We get some guest bloggers from soap makers and other makers around the world. I can't even say country anymore because I've had a few from outside of the U.S. And then we've added a few people like awesome Katie over here, and she's been awesome to encourage me to think outside my box again. I think one of my favorite recipes, oh geez, do you know how many blogs I've written? I think there's about 900.
Holy cow. That's crazy.
I think I still have to say my favorite soap was going to be the layered Oreo that I did I think I probably did that 6 years ago. Time to redo it then, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is time to redo it.
And any of the coffee lip balms. I love coffee.
She's a coffee addict.
Yeah. Who isn't? And I'm sorry if you're not a coffee person, but I am. And that's just like the best thing ever. It totally makes my day. And then lotions, probably the Light Gift lotion, or the Rooibos body cream. But Taylor's lemon cookie lotion was pretty good too.
That was good. I love that fragrance.
That is a good one.
So, yeah, it's good. It's been there. What about you, Katie?
Well, so I started working at Majestic Mountain Sage in 2014. And just like Andy, I started back in the warehouse and
Dealing this.
worked on picking your guys' orders. And I think probably maybe it was a year and a half ago that I got wrangled into helping with some blog projects, and I thought, hey, this is pretty fun. I like writing, so I started doing my own blogs, and it's been a lot of fun. Before I started working here, I honestly didn't have much interest in all the soap making and lotion making, but I've really grown to love it, and it's awesome to make your own products, and sometimes they fail and sometimes they work, and you get to learn from that, which is pretty fun. I'd say my favorite blog I've ever done would be my black bath bomb, which was pretty fun to experiment with all the different colors and try and get that perfect black color that doesn't stain your bathtub. And yeah, I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah, and we did learn some things too.
Yes, we did. And we were testing bath bombs in the toilet here. It was pretty exciting.
We did learn though that a clean tub makes the difference.
Which kind of sucks. I know no one wants to clean their bathtub before they get in it, but it keeps it from staining the outside of your tub black, so it's definitely worth it.
So talk about this lotion. Why did you choose the oils that you did?
This one is actually a redo of that Rooibos body cream that I told you about. That was one of my favorites. And the origin behind this recipe was that we had a customer who wanted to make something similar to our body cream base. But she wanted to make it herself because she's like, okay, I got the sample of the body cream base, but I have all the ingredients, so I want to make it myself. So I said, okay, we can do that. So the sunflower is a cost-effective ingredient. It feels very nice on the skin. It's one that can be, it doesn't feel super greasy. It's not super heavy on the skin. And it also was picked because there aren't a lot of allergies to sunflower.
I didn't know that. You learn something every day.
And then, let's see, extracts. I love extracts. I think they're an awesome way to add to a lotion and give your lotion a little extra oomph, and kind of give it some more skin or beneficial skin properties. Your lotion can have different things in it, but I chose on this particular one the chamomile and the calendula. Calendula because it's also been reputed and noted as skin healing. I enjoy it. It feels good on my skin. And then chamomile has also been noted to be a skin healer. And because it is March, where did February go? We're dealing in transitional weather. And we wanted something that would feel nice on the skin. Shea butter was chosen to help thicken the recipe a little bit and just give that little bit of luxury. Now, if you are one of those that do have a shea butter allergy or latex allergy, alternatives that I would recommend would be things like avocado butter or mango butter.
I would probably also consider aloe butter for this recipe.
Yes,
I think aloe butter would be beautiful.
it would. I think aloe butter would be awesome. There's so many different butters to choose from, and
It makes it hard.
it makes it really hard. All right, Katie, you want to grab this thermometer and see where we are?
152.
152.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, so now what we're seeing here is a, this looks like milk with a little bit of butter floating on the top. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to stick this over there, back on the counter, and then we're going to use our clean immersion blender, and we're going to mix this baby up. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
If you don't have an immersion blender, you better get one because it makes the lotion making process, the soap making process, it makes it so much easier.
So Suzanne asks, is aloe butter a blend? Like, is it made out of something else with the aloe vera blended into it?
Yes. Aloe butter is coconut oil that has an infusion of aloe into it. So it's coconut oil, regular, I guess your 96-degree melt point. No, 76, sorry. Wrong math. It melts on your skin. But it has the oil-soluble nutrients from aloe that make it really nice.
So we don't see any butter chunks floating around, those have all melted. Do see a little bit of oil sitting on the top, but I think mixing that with the immersion blender will help get that all mixed together. Oh yeah, now it's looking like milk. It's all mixed together, very white.
And not just regular skim milk, heavy cream.
Yes.
All right, so what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna move the top.
Without spilling it all over. Careful there. Yep. As you can see, it's kind of milky, very white.
So if you can see that, we're very close. We just need a little bit more heat because I do have a little bit of stearic acid that I can feel floating on the bottom.
You can see it.
Now I'm gonna take this off, and if you can see my immersion blender, you can't see a lot of chunks on it. Taylor, if you could help move the camera a little closer.
Certainly.
So what we can see is there aren't any major chunks, and that's what we're wanting to not have. The stearic acid can give a gritty texture, so we wanted to make sure that that's all there. Now that we stopped blending, we've got a little bit of oil that's floated back up to the top, but that will very quickly mix in once we get some more of this melted. So we just need a little bit more in temperature. Like we said earlier, you're looking for a targeted temperature that's on this particular recipe. We're going to target about 106, between 160 and 180.
And what is our current temperature now?
We were at 155 a few minutes ago.
156. So we're getting close. This is the hardest part. I'm not a patient person. Come on! See, it's starting to steam now. It's getting nice and toasty.
So Taylor did put up the recipe for you guys to see. And you may have noticed that we didn't calculate a fragrance into there. And the reason is that a lot of times you will need to make a bigger batch of your lotion, and you need to scent it as your customers need it. So that's what we recommend, is to actually make the big batch and then scent it later with, and you can scent smaller portions. And that makes it really easy. Is this big batch, we're actually going to let it cool, and then we're going to add the fragrance later.
How do you cool such a big batch like this?
Our favorite method is putting it in a bag, a plastic bag, and letting it be a shallow layer. And we actually have a big plastic bag. It's over there. We're going to grab that and show you guys what it looks like. Katie, it's over there in that. So, yeah, cooling lotions, if you leave it in this big pot, it's going to be in the, it's right there.
That'll be big enough.
That may not be big enough for this particular batch.
No.
Look at those.
No. Ah! I think I left the really big bag downstairs.
We only have little bags, but we can go grab some big ones so we can get this cooled faster.
All right.
So why do you like the bag? To be able to get it cool fast?
Because if you cool it quickly, it won't separate. And the worst thing is to spend all your time making a lotion and then have it separate on you and go, no, not all my hard work. You know, you have to be a total drama queen about that because you did work hard on it. So it is nice to heat it and then let it cool quickly. That totally makes your lotion that much less stressful.
Oh, perfect. Katie's going to come on camera here and show us these bags.
So this is our bag. So you see, it is big. Let's see, this is a
20 by 36.
20 inches by 36 inches. What we'll end up doing is, once we get the last of the stearic acid melted, we're going to turn off the heat, remove the pot from our little stove, and then we're going to let it cool because we have a few temperature sensitive ingredients over here, our preservative, vitamin E, and our extracts that they should not be added where everything else can melt here.
Why did you choose vitamin E natural for this recipe versus vitamin E acetate?
Vitamin E natural actually has a lower usage rate, even though, and it's lower, the cost ends up being lower, even though you pay more initially. Your usage rate on the vitamin E is 0.25%, and I maxed that. I could have gone with 0.1%, and because of that, I used 0.25%, and for this entire batch, which was 384 ounces of materials, I'm only using 0.96 ounces of vitamin E natural. Whereas if I had used the vitamin E acetate, I would have been using probably 3 ounces.
All right. Rosie asks, where can those bags be purchased?
You know what? Next time you're ready to place an order, just put a comment in your order, and we'll toss in a couple for you.
Yeah.
We can add them to the catalog as a free gift.
Yeah.
We should, because they are so helpful.
They are.
I use them with lotions. I really like them if I'm doing scrubs or anything powdered.
Oh, yeah.
Taylor is notorious for powdered materials. She'll mix them and then poof.
There's a couple times I've come up into the blog kitchen. She's just standing there, white powder all over her face. What did you do?
I am really good at that.
We do have to admit, that is my contact picture for Taylor, is a face full of white powder. It was Natrasorb and something else.
I think I had Natrasorb and arrowroot and something else.
Were you making no, you were making a body powder.
I was making a body powder, and what had happened is my original mixing bowl, I had severely underestimated how much volume Natrasorb has. So my mixing bowl wasn't big enough. So I'm trying to transfer from my mixing bowl to a large mixing bucket. And because of all of the powder, my hands are a little bit slippery, and the bowl, as I'm pouring, slips into the bucket, and it just caused this volcano of powder to go all across the entire room.
And
It
we
was
have
horrible.
fans going, just blowing it everywhere. It was a mess. It is.
It was a mess.
Let's see what temperature we're at. It's looking pretty steamy. 169. So we're getting there. Our target was 160, 180.
And I don't feel any clumps. When you're using the immersion blender, you can actually feel clumps hit the blades. That's an inaccurate, non-scientific way of saying it's mixed. The very scientific way is to lift your immersion blender out of your pot and just check. You're looking for clumps. If you see things that kind of look like clumps, but they are clear, double check them. They might actually just be bubbles, which in this case, we're just bubbles, but we do have a little bit of oil still floating on the top.
I have noticed when I make my lotions, sometimes as my immersion blender heats up, that can be harder to use via the immersion blender. But if I use a cold metal spoon, just something from the drawer, that's really good at going, I'm a magnet to those cold stirrings, and then I can check and see. So that is a great way, especially if you've been working on your lotion for a little bit, your immersion blender has had time to warm up, use just a cold metal spoon from the drawer, and that's a great way to check and see if everything is smooth, even consistency.
Yeah, and just your room temperature metal spoon from your clean materials, that's great. You do want to just, make sure that it isn't a spoon that, somebody grabbed peanut butter on, because, well, that can be a problem. Contamination.
Yeah.
So we're almost here.
Still got a little bit of oils flowing up to the top, so we're gonna keep mixing it. But I do think all the stearic has melted.
So remind me, how large is this batch of lotion again?
3 gallons.
384 ounces by weight.
Wow.
So it's pretty big.
Okay, so I just turned off the heat on our pot because we have melted everything. What we are just dealing with is the last of the emulsifier. And that's already melted. We're just needing to blend.
So Deborah just commented, she said your cosmetic formulating equipment should be completely separate from your food prep equipment.
Absolutely.
That's why we have a whole blog kitchen. It's separate. We keep everything separate. You're right.
And fragrance contamination, trust me, having your Coke taste like patchouli sucks. And your coffee, that's even worse.
No, we don't want that.
So for those who are not necessarily makers for resale, but are small home craft makers, what do you recommend in keeping things separate because they don't have maybe the luxury that a small business owner would have?
Well, if you're small, I'm going to dedicate this one to anybody who is a small business owner who is still working at home in their kitchens, or somebody who's just a hobbyist.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend getting separate containers that are just for your making. Now, that can be things like the buckets that your oils come in. Those are great for, especially the 5-pound coconut oil comes in a 1-gallon bucket. That's perfect for using that to make batches of soap or lotions. And for the most part, it fits in. I think it fits in every single microwave that I've worked with, except for the tiny college microwaves.
Something to keep in mind, though, is that if you are using plastic things like buckets or plastic bowls, they will absorb the fragrance. So that's why we use beakers, the glass beakers or the metal bowls, so it doesn't absorb that fragrance.
And you do want to, if you're making in your home, hand wash, please, because if you run this through your dishwasher, you will end up with your coffee or your Coke or whatever, your scrambled eggs tasting like patchouli or green orchid. And the reason that is because your dishwasher has plastic in it. We have this charming sign on our dishwasher here in the blog kitchen that says, warning, fragrance contaminated dishwasher. Do not put plastic food containers inside. And it's a big, probably 12-inch square label.
You can't miss it.
You can't miss it. It's yellow. And that's just because we don't want to have, yes, we're trying to keep separate, but you do not want to have any instance of food preparation tasting like patchouli. And that's my go-to. I'm not picking on patchouli because I hate patchouli. I like patchouli. I just don't like how it tastes.
Lemon works pretty good. Peppermint is good. Once you start getting into jasmine or rose
The
or
florals, the earthies.
yeah, any of the orientals, it really kind of messes with the vibe when it comes to dinner. Yeah. So definitely we recommend keeping things separate as much as possible.
And it is something that rubber scrapers, go get yourself a brand new rubber scraper and put some tape on it that says soap making, lotion making only. Don't let it go back into your kitchen.
Yeah, label things.
Label things. That will help. Especially, pitchers that you might use for your water. Always label that, just so it doesn't end up out at the street with the kids going, hey, we've got a lemonade stand. No, we don't need to do that.
So Renee says, Hinoki wood is the best patchouli blend.
Yes. It is.
It is a good one.
It is a good one, and it smells up the whole building every time we have to pack it off.
Oh yeah.
'Cause
And
when
when
we
I go
got-
home and I swear I smell it for the rest of the night. It
Even if
sticks
you
to you.
didn't pack it.
Yeah. I'll be next to someone packing it and then I still smell it all over me.
It's strong, it's intense, but it's good.
I love Hinoki wood.
Mhm.
It's a good one.
Ooh.
Right, let's see what our temperature's at now.
So besides this lotion that you ladies are making today, what else do you have kind of in the works that you're going to be releasing for blogs or things you want to try?
Oh. Let's see. Katie's working on a blueberry.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I've been working on a whole week, a bunch of recipes dedicated to just blueberries. I'll have a blueberry lip balm, some lotions, a blueberry soap. So that's in the works. Will be coming out soon, maybe
And-
for the springtime.
It's perfect. The Blueberry Bliss fragrance is perfectly spring or summer.
Yes.
I know blueberries are a summer crop, but that fragrance just shouts spring to me.
Mm-hmm. But other than that, we've got some lotions we've been working on.
I've been working on a intense healing, or it's intended as a healing salve. It's an alternative to our lanolin butter, and I finally got the recipe worked out after lots of testing. But don't ask me how many test samples because I can't count anymore.
We've also got some recipes in the works for new mothers out there. So if you're a new mother, you got a little baby, we're working on some recipes for new moms and babies, some soap or some lip balms and stuff. So that'll be exciting.
And then on the live front, we're kind of looking for suggestions from you guys
Yeah.
on what you'd like to see us do live on Facebook. Definitely have one more piece of equipment to get so you guys can see into the pod. But for the most part, yeah.
So let us know, what do you guys want to see? You know, is there certain things that you have questions about? Maybe we could just do like a Q&A episode.
Absolutely.
Whatever you guys want.
We can even do ingredient-specific Q&A episodes. So I just have a very small amount of oil floating here at the top now. And it's just, we're now at the point where we've got everything. We are at a stable emulsion, mostly.
It's just a
Minus-
big batch, so it
It
takes
is
a lot of
big.
mixing. We're getting close. It looks like milk right now. But as we pull the immersion blender out, it's very smooth. You can see that there's no graininess to it.
So Deborah says, I think DIYers might like to see solubilizer examples. Sorry, Deborah, I can't talk today. Maybe how to use Nature's bath in more than one kind of product.
Nature Store, then that's the case. We're going to definitely pull Taylor into that one.
She's the
She'll be
Nature
our
Queen.
co-host for that one instead of behind the scenes. But Nature Soap's a great idea. There's definitely some solubilizers and some different things. Bath products, you know, we are still in the throes of winter. And for those of you on the East Coast, I know you've been dealing with another monster of a storm. Sorry we sent that your way. But we would love to do different bath products, and that's a great way. Not all, I know I'm not every person, you know, I'm a shower person, but Katie, she's
I
our
love
bath
baths.
person.
I'm all about that, so
Yeah, she'll be our guinea pig.
I'm willing to test whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all of you would be happy to be our guinea pig too.
Yeah, we'll send out some samples with your orders.
Yeah.
What I love about being able to send out test samples and that is we also get to see a lot of regional preferences, because we certainly see it in the fragrance realm of regional preferences. Lilac tends to be preferred more north and west. Gardenia and jasmine tend to be preferred more in the south.
Jasmine also has a bit in the southwest.
Yes, it does.
But
So we already know there are some preferences when it comes to fragrances, but I'm also saying there are definitely some preferences regionally based on body care products. You know, body butters that are anhydrous may be more popular in a region versus a heavy cream. And so that is also kind of fun to see that feedback and be able to help people more, because they will know to some degree their region, but we will also have a very different perspective. So that feedback is so much fun.
yeah, and every person has different skin. What feels good to me may not feel good to Katie, or it may not feel good to you. So it's your own skincare routine. There is no one skincare routine makes all.
Everybody's different. What you think?
I think we're emulsified. So now we need to let it cool a little so we can add the temperature sensitives.
Extracts, preservative, and vitamin E.
So at this point, is this when you typically put it into the bag, or do you let it cool and then put it into the bag later?
I would ideally like to let it cool a little bit in the pot. I want certain preservatives have temperatures where they can't handle above it very well. And so we want to make sure that we're not going above that. Liquid Germall plus, my brain leaked. What is it?
In general, most preservatives, your goal is under 120.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, the doctor said, okay, you're all good. You can go back to work. You're just dealing with residual congestion. And I'm like, thanks. Yeah, stupid sinus infections. I highly recommend not having them.
So Rita Marie says, love you guys at TheSage.
Oh, we love you. Thank you, Rita Marie. We love you guys too. It's, you know, we get to talk to some of you on the phone, and I can't tell you enough how much I love hearing how we make you guys succeed just by giving you the best products that we can.
We have the best customers. I talk to people on the phone and they just make my whole day. They're so sweet. They're like, oh, if you ever come to Colorado, you can come stay with me because you're so nice.
I think I've got connections all over the U.S. that have said, if you're in my location, you can stay with me. And I'm like, okay. I don't know when I travel much, but
Yeah. What I love for me is, you know, I go out, I meet people, I'm spending time with my fiance, and we just get talking, and I have no idea that they're a customer. They don't know I work at Majestic Mountain Sage, and all of a sudden it comes out that, oh my gosh, there's this connection, and people get excited, and it's so fun to be able to put faces and names to people and their orders and what they're making. And it's a lot of fun to be able to say, oh my gosh, yeah, I saw this bar and I loved it. I can't believe you made it. That's so awesome.
Definitely.
yeah, well, now you just let the cat out of the bag.
I did.
Yeah. For those of you who have followed us at Majestic Mountain Sage for a while, we hadn't let the cat out of the bag before, but Taylor did. She is officially engaged, and I'll Twitter paid it.
So you'll definitely see this summer some things related to weddings, wedding favors, and things like that. But don't think that they're exclusive to that. You can definitely use them for craft fairs and other just really fun
Baby
things.
showers, just gifts for birthdays.
Yeah. I have a little stash at home of gifts that I make that, crap, I forgot somebody's birthday was. And I just go through my cupboard and say, here's a lip balm and a lotion and a soap. Here's a
There
gift
you go.
basket. And I spent hours on it.
And people love it. People love getting homemade gifts, something that you put your energy and your heart into. People love getting that stuff.
So Rita Marie says, I still want to bring back spicy wassail fragrance oil. Remember that?
Oh, I do remember that. Bitter Orange Orchid. There was a spicy wassail before my time.
Wow. That was a while ago.
And so, yes, I would love to, but current regulations are going to change how we do that. So we might have to reanalyze and reimagine, go back to the drawing board on that fragrance and come back with some good options for you.
Yeah. The one issue that we've had is IFRA recently updated what is allowed in fragrances, and
The poor spice category got picked on.
yeah, they nailed the spice category. So a lot of our favorites in the spices and holiday related scents just aren't allowed. They're typically allowed by IFRA, allowed at 0.02%, which is just too small.
We're going to wave it over the pot. And it doesn't smell.
Yeah. So we are definitely working with our formulators to get some great spice fragrances back into our catalog, but we are definitely limited in what IFRA allows. And we actually have, as a company, a 3% minimum for
cold processed soap.
yeah. So that actually limits us a little bit, but it also allows, when IFRA does a 49th Amendment, please let that take a while. It gives us the ability to make sure that we've got enough kind of flexibility that we can transition, and those fragrances can still be used in your product, rather than when IFRA says, hey, we have a new update, we aren't stuck with saying, well, I'm sorry, we can't make this fragrance anymore.
And we don't want to do a recall, and
Yeah.
that's the hard part, is to go to people and say, you've got that, but I can't make it anymore because it's not safe to use. And we don't want to do that. That's not who we are. We want to give you safe, quality products that you don't have to worry about.
So Deborah says, I'm very glad you follow IFRA despite the challenges when they make safety changes.
Oh, it can be enough to give our formulators heartburn.
Yeah.
We just bribe them with chocolate, and somehow that works. You know, chocolate, best bribery ever.
Yeah.
We go through a lot of chocolate in this facility, though.
That's what happens when you've got a warehouse full of women.
It is what happens.
Definitely.
That's okay. So our lotion is cooling. It hasn't had anything float up since I stopped blending. So that's been really exciting. It is very hot. I would say definitely beyond drinkable tea temperature, but
Yes.
we're probably 155, 160.
153. Close.
Wow.
I have built-in thermometers. Not everybody does. No, I'm just kidding. It's just been a lot of years of practice. So this is just cooling, but we did just want to show you that it is possible to take a batch that you have done before and do the math and scale it. And tomorrow's blog post will show you how to scale that math, how to take a recipe that you have it just in weight, and to convert it into percentages that you can then have a sliding scale and resize it to any batch size. And I'll teach you how to do it, that you can set up your spreadsheet, because spreadsheets, if you can set up a spreadsheet to always do your math for you, that makes it easy.
So easy.
Yeah. So watch tomorrow's blog, and we'll have it up for you so you can see how to resize the scale and scale your recipe as needed.
We also have a measurement converter on our website, which will be super helpful in, working your recipes if you need that. It's very helpful.
Renee says, laugh out loud. Don't just swap grams for ounces unless you have a big bucket ready.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
that would be Taylor.
Abby, you're going to have to tell this story for people who aren't familiar with it, because that was a long ago blog post.
Okay, so Taylor had just started working on the blog team with me, and she made a batch of lotion. And she forgot that she had written it down in grams, and she was meant to do it in grams, but she converted she put the scale to ounces and just proceeded to weigh out, instead of 3 grams of something, it ended up being 3 ounces. Well, at that point, she realized her mistake. And she's like, how do I undo it? She had multiple ingredients mixed together. So the only way to undo it was to make the batch bigger.
Yep.
So always double check your math, or double check your triple checks.
Yeah, and double check the scale and make sure you're in the correct
Yes.
units. That's one thing that, especially here in the blog kitchen, because we have so many people coming in and out of the kitchen, we change the scale based on what project we're using and what we're creating. So if you're not careful, you may be working in grams when you think you're in ounces. So if you have multiple hands in your work studio or creating space, definitely check your equipment. Make sure no one's borrowed
Well,
it.
even if it's just you in your studio,
Mhm.
you can't always remember what your last project was.
Mistakes happen.
Mistakes happen.
Yes,
And we do
they
like
do.
to say we have work-induced ADD. So we do encourage you to just make it a habit that when you come in to make a brand new product, that you check your scale, you check your ingredients, and you check everything. If you do that, you're going to set yourself up so you prevent a mistake in the future.
It's always good to double check your math. Just yesterday, I had a soap recipe that we forgot to change the lye on it, and I made it, and it started turning into cottage cheese looking. I'm like, Andy, what happened? And she's like, that is way too much lye for your recipe. So it's always good to double check your math before you get in there and start making things.
And we are human here,
Yep.
so we do
It
make
happens.
mistakes, and math is definitely something that we always recommend double checking, even though you think you checked it. If you need to grab a second set of eyes,
Always
a
helps.
spouse or a teenager who's working on math classes, tell them, this is real math. I want you to practice. It's definitely something that I would encourage. Now, I have gotten a couple of other things on my gloves, so I am going to take those off, just because I don't want to have a contamination issue. Got another pair of gloves over here on the back counter. But right now we're just letting this cool, and we're still too hot for adding our temperature sensitive ingredients. So back to you. What questions do you have? Did we teach you something, or is there something you want to ask us about making larger batch sizes or changing batch sizes? Because we want to know.
Or do you have any short or stories to tell, like, Taylor with the nature sword all over? We want to hear those funny stories. Yeah, we want to hear from you guys. What do you think, and what questions you have?
We also want to hear what you guys think about this live video. Should we do more of them? What kinds of topics do you want us to cover in the future? We want to hear from you guys.
And we would also want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks for watching us.
Thanks for watching us. Thanks for being a Majestic Mountain Sage customer. We love having you guys. We love hearing from you guys in your email, in our phone calls. It's really cool, and we feel invested in you guys to be a valued part of your one of your valued suppliers.
So Rita Marie says, it might be nice to know how to increase and decrease sizes.
That I will definitely cover the math in the blog tomorrow, because that one, it's hard to verbally explain it, and I would love to show it, but I think it is easier to show it in a written form.
Okay.
So formulation.
Is this something where you definitely would recommend a spreadsheet?
Yes, I love spreadsheets for the math. You know, you don't have to have specifically one spreadsheet or over another. You can use any type of spreadsheet. The math I'm going to teach you is going to be interchangeable. It's not going to be specific to one computer software spreadsheet.
Cool. All right. So Rita Marie says, appreciate the video. She likes it, and thanks for answering her question. Renee says, live videos are always helpful. It's nice to watch new procedures and ideas.
Oh, yay. Well, sometimes it's good to be able to talk it out, and even though it's like feel weird because I'm not talking to somebody, I really am talking to somebody. I can't hear you talking back to me, and you're not talking to me in sign either. So we'll work on that. But Taylor's doing a great job on making sure your questions are answered and that we're seeing them.
Yeah. What are some questions you two have been asked this week by customers that you think are helpful, you answer a lot, and you just want to share?
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think.
I can't think of anything.
I think the biggest question I've been asked recently is, what's your favorite fragrance?
Oh.
And, that's hard because I have so many favorites.
And everyone's different, you know. Her favorite, I might not like it at all, so it can be kind of hard to, talk about those.
Wicked has a special place in my heart because I helped formulate it. That one is just it's a happy fragrance. Polynesian Red is always,
I love that one.
It's a fruity, it's gender neutral, surprisingly. I've had men and women like it of all ages. I've been on another osmanthus kick. Osmanthus is a super yummy fragrance. It's a bit of floral, and I think part of it is because spring is just around the corner, and I am itching to get outside and get into my garden.
Me too, but right now there's like 2 feet of snow on the ground, so can't really do that.
No, that is definitely hard. Can't go garden. I'm going stir crazy.
That's why we're making 3 gallons of lotion.
Yes.
So if people are looking for springtime fragrances, what are some that come to mind for both of you?
Lilac.
Yes. And there's also lilac and lavender.
Crocus.
Yeah, I think of floral things like the rose or rose garden. I really like our rose garden fragrance oil.
Bella.
Oh, Bella's a good one too.
Bella's a good floral. And I also like blending a little bit of vanilla into florals to kind of sweeten it up and add a little bit of extra sweet and tranquility. I don't know how to explain it being a tranquil component, but it kind of makes it a very green fragrance. You can also do fragrances like Middle Earth. That's going to smell like the spring forest floors, particularly for those of us in more northern latitudes, as those the forests start melting and really blooming and getting those green notes.
So Rita Marie says, maybe a little lesson on blending.
Fragrance blending.
She's the expert.
Okay, well, yes, we can definitely do fragrance blending. That is something I would be more than happy to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that one would be something that we definitely want to make sure that people could have some time to get ingredients on hand or something comparable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a great idea for one of our next videos, do a fragrance blending one.
We'll have to get a little bit more back into operation.
So if we were to do a live video lesson on blending, what kinds of things would you recommend people have on hand, whether or not it's for the video or whether they're just doing blending on their own time by themselves?
I would recommend having sachet cards, perfume vials, or glass perfume vials, or a glass dram vial, either one, and lots of pipettes.
Yeah.
And a notebook. Those are the most important things, I think.
Okay. So if they've got those pieces of equipment, as long as they've got their fragrances and essential oils to pick from, they would be all set to start blending and creating on their own?
Mhm.
Wow, perfect.
What about your new perfumer's kit?
Oh, the perfumer's kit is, I would pick that one. And then I've got another one that I've got ready to release. We're probably talking end of March is another perfumer's kit that's going to be smaller and have just the most basic things that you're going to need.
Right.
Could you do seasonal mini kits?
Oh, that's a
Good
great idea.
And then people could order that and they'd have it on hand and they could blend right with you and you could say, scratch and sniff and hold a paper up to the video
Yes.
and you would go, like peach.
That's a good idea.
A click and sniff alternative. I love it.
So Renee says someone is doing a seminar on scent blending in May. Andy, tell us about that.
Yeah, okay. I am doing a seminar, a half-day seminar at the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetics Guild in May at their annual conference. And we're going to be doing fragrance blending. I'm really excited. This will be my second time teaching at the HSCG conference. And I'm really excited to be there. I'm actually taking Katie with me this year. So you get to meet her face to face and come up and give Katie a hug because she's going to be so excited to be there and she's going to have so much fun.
And it's in Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia this year.
And I've never been, so it's exciting. It'll be a new experience, and I'm excited to meet you guys and get to have some face-to-face time with some of our customers that aren't just here in Utah.
So our lotion is still too hot. We're still probably at 150 degrees. So my stomach is starting to say it's lunchtime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we're going to sign out and we're going to add these temperature sensitive ingredients when this lotion gets to 120 degrees. And
Will you use your immersion blender when you add those?
we'll use it briefly, yes, to help make sure the oils
Preservative
and
gets mixed in.
because we've got the oil soluble extracts in here and we want to make sure they're thoroughly mixed and we want to make sure the preservative is. But it's not going to be as long mixing as we did to try to get the emulsion of our lotion. It's going to be much shorter.
What if your lotion is completely room temperature before you get to adding these things? Do
Then
you
we'll
use an immersion blender or do you hand stir it?
No, you hand stir it in. At that point, if I do come back and it's gotten to complete room temperature, it's still okay to add these temperature sensitive ingredients. We just hand stir it because if we use the immersion blender, we might break the emulsion and then our broken lotion is going to totally be a disaster and we're going to be no, and we're not going to be happy. And so to prevent that, we're going to hand stir it in if I get back to this and it's still, it has gotten to beyond the 120. But that is our target. But we'll be back after, or we'll do this after lunch. We'll get this all settled. But go off, have lunch, enjoy yourselves, and have fun being an adventurous maker.
And thanks for watching us. We appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
And we'll see you next time here on Facebook Live. Have a great day.